Should I continue or leave the meeting?
Continue.
All right, everybody, thanks.
Everybody, thanks for joining us. We'll work through the D-line group today, and we'll start with Coach Kolodziej, and we'll start with questions for him with Jesse Temple.
Hey, Ross, which young guys have stood out to you so far, and why? And also, what's your level of concern about trying to fill out some of those roles with the level of inexperience you've got back there?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's a double-barreled question that really speaks to almost the entire youth of the group, you know, outside of Henningsen and Keanu, right? Those are both two established starters. Isaiah's played, Mullins has played in many backup situations and roles, but after that, you know, the game experience and even defensive 2-deep practice experience is fairly limited. So it is a young group. Am I concerned? Absolutely not. You know, the guys are in the building for a reason, and we're confident in their talent, their abilities, and their work ethic to get where they need to be ultimately. In terms of who stood out, you know, I think Rodas Johnson has had an unbelievable first 3 practices. You know, his challenge is going to be, can he maintain and continue to improve at that level? Gio has flashed certainly with an ability to do some things up front as well. You know, after that, you know, Mike Jarvis, you know, I think it's a lot for a young guy to come in and enroll and enroll early. But especially as a lineman, and then to have to compete and do it really in the 2-deep, you know, I think he's doing well as well. So really like the group in general. You know, I think guys are doing well and continuing to improve.
Jeff.
Ross, when we talked to Leonard last week, he mentioned that he estimated 70% of the time they were in nickel last year with just 2 down linemen. And I'm just curious about Keanu's role in that, because of his athletic ability and explosiveness. How much mileage can you get out of him this year, whether it's on the nose in a three-man front or in that nickel package?
Yeah, well, I think even in our 3-man front, you know, we do under spacing our alignment. So he has experience playing more than just a 0 nose. As you mentioned, he is tremendously gifted, athletic, strong. So I'm excited for him because it's a great opportunity for him to continue to develop his tool set and his, you know, his resume.
Steve.
Just one with Henningsen. I know he was hurt most of last year, back this spring. Just how much is he playing catch up because of the injury, and just what have you seen from him in the offseason and the spring thus far?
0 catch up. He's 100%. He's a genius, you know, academically. So, and he's a freak show athletically. So he's right at, or maybe exceeding where you hope he'd be at this time.
Zach Halpern.
Hey, Ross. You know, growing up in Wisconsin, around the time that Barry was turning the program around, and then, you know, playing for him, and then now coaching here. In your mind, what has he meant to you, and what has he meant for Wisconsin?
That's a heavy hitter, man. Well, one, I wouldn't be where I am or who I am today without Coach Alvarez. You know, as an adult, right? He's been around, or a significant influence to my life, you know, for the last 25 plus years. So the foundation really from which I operate from personally and professionally, learned a ton from him. And then obviously for Wisconsin football and Wisconsin athletics in general, you know, he's put the W on the map, you know, so obviously, you know, owe a ton to Coach Alvarez.
Ross, you mentioned Henningsen being a genius, and I wonder with his experience and just the smarts that he has, have you seen him starting to take some of these younger guys under his wing and try to catch them up to speed here in the spring session?
Absolutely. You know, all winter long, especially with a guy like Jarvis coming in from ground zero, you know, and that's on Jarvis as well to reach out and take advantage of that. But and even for me initially, just you know I could go to him and get reliable information in terms of, you know, what, how, why things were the way they were, and you know, again, he's encyclopedic and photographic with his memory and recall. So great resource for all of us.
Jake?
I'll say, Ross, I know looking at the spring roster, they had Bryson Williams, you know, listed down to 280. Just how has he looked, and where do you see him fitting in, not just maybe at nose guard or nose tackle, but do you think he has some position flexibility too?
Yeah, I think all our guys have to have position I guess Brian didn't want me to answer that question, so he muted me. You know, obviously body weights fluctuate throughout the year, and position flexibility is what we're asking out of all these guys up front. So, you know, he'll continue to learn and grow in the scheme, and as will everybody else up front.
Back to Jesse.
Ross, what's been the most significant transition you've had to make in going from the strength role to the role you've had now? And are there things you feel like you're doing to put your stamp on it that are maybe different in terms of terminology or anything else from what Noakes did?
Biggest transition would be recruiting for sure. Time and energy and having to get on social media. In terms of different, or, you know, I guess I'm a coach how I coach and how I was coached, and not really concerned at all about the past or what was said or wasn't said, right? It's all about moving forward and how we're going to do it, and how really Jim wants to do it moving forward.
I got time for a couple more. We'll go to George.
Yeah, Ross, you mentioned his name before, but for Keanu Benton, what have you seen from him in the short time spring football, and just how he's improved in his game, if he has at all?
Yeah, Keanu's special, really special player, and very fortunate to have him, and excited to be able to coach and work with him. He's got great athleticism, really good understanding of pressure and how to use his body and use blockers' momentum and position against him. So really the guy has an upside, you know. Not many guys come through here with the talent and ability and the ceiling that he has.
We'll wrap things up with one more from Jeff.
Yeah, Ross, you mentioned that Matt has basically zero catch up coming off that injury. How much of that has to do with where he is physically, but also between the ears, his intelligence level, that he has such a grasp of whatever it is you guys need him to do?
Well, it goes hand in hand a little bit, right? Anytime you have, especially a fairly significant injury, your attitude and your approach and your rehab sets the groundwork and stage for your return to play, and your investment through that process, staying connected, staying in the fold mentally, and then continuing to progress physically. So really hats off to him, because you know, he had a great winter, strength and conditioning, put himself physically in position to step right into spring ball day one and not miss a beat.
Thanks, Russ. Appreciate your time.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys.